right, welcome to today's podcast. It's Tuesday, October 18th. Just a heads up, because I have to remind myself, maybe I can get over there and do this tomorrow, because I don't go to the shopping corridor of town, like Monroe and Secor, as much as I used to when I lived downtown. But that is over where the new early voting center is. So early voting is going on. It's convenient and quick when you early vote because there are very few people there. At least there have been. And I've gone during like lunch hour times where you'd expect a few more people, but nada. The location used to be downtown. That will be the new Lucas County Canine Care and Control building in a couple of years. So the early voting center is now out on Sylvania, just off of Monroe. You can give that a look up, a Google for the exact address. Saturday, if you like animals, and me, but more so animals, especially animals in costume, I've been invited to judge Growloween with Lynn from Three Dog Bakery. Two locations, one in Toledo on Monroe, another in Perrysburg. This year's costume contest will be at the Toledo Humane Society around 11 o'clock. Then they do adoptions at noon. There are several categories, including Best Human Pet Duo, Creative, Store-Bought. Last year, I think we had, I don't know if it was the Human Pet Duo, but I remember the dog had Thor's hammer attached to its side, and I think that was one of the winners. So it was a good time. That's Saturday, 11 o'clock at the Humane Society. Some guests to get to, but first up, I was going to dig into a new show last night. My schedule recently for viewing has been Wednesday, my Chicago shows are back. Thursday, Law & Order is back. And then on Friday, I catch up with the streaming shows that have been out earlier in the week, like Andor, which has gotten really good as long as they don't focus on that actual character. And then Monday and Tuesday are kind of open, although Monday I'm usually watching House of the Dragon because I was in bed the night before. Tuesday's kind of open, so I looked up last night, or I set a show aside called The Watcher. I got one of my many Netflix emails saying, we just added a show that you might like. Netflix's batting average on that is very, 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 very low. But I usually glance at them, and I saw the cast for this show were some people that I like. Naomi Watts, Bobby Cannavale. I think I said that right. So I marked it aside. I went back, and I'm glad I scoped it out a little bit more, and I saw that it's a Ryan Murphy show. So Netflix has been in bed with Ryan Murphy, and he has some big hits. Dahmer is his. He and Evan Peters work together all the time. I really enjoyed a couple of seasons of the twisted nature of American Horror Story. But for me, peak Ryan Murphy was Nip Tuck. And then that show went really weird. But that was one of my favorite shows in the aughts. Ryan Murphy is big time hit or big time miss. The Watcher is a Ryan Murphy show, and I came across enough to dissuade me from watching it last night. And then I saw something today that said people are very upset that it's one of the worst endings of any show. Glad I didn't watch. A good watch. One of the many things that made Black Panther so iconic 4.5 years ago when it came out was the soundtrack. Was it Pray For Me with The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar, or Kendrick Lamar and SZA with All the Stars, which closed the movie? Some really great songs. Rihanna will be contributing 2 songs to the upcoming Black Panther movie, which we're now about 3 weeks from being able to enjoy. This makes sense because I was expecting new Rihanna music. That was one of the great parts of her being announced to be the Super Bowl halftime performer. We were finally going to get some new Rihanna music, even if it was just a song. I don't know if we're going to get an album or just these 2 cuts from the Black Panther soundtrack. But apparently one of them is supposed to be the movie closing song, like All the Stars was. That's a big deal. And I know a lot of people, as more and more content has come out, have been troubled by this latest phase of entries into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yeah, it's not been what it was, but I don't know if we'll ever be there again. And I'm going to chalk a lot of the mediocrity and the incongruity up to COVID. But there was one rumor that was out there and has really flown, and I'm not going to say it, one rumor that was out there, but since it's flown under the radar with this Black Panther movie. And if it comes to fruition, even if it's just an Easter egg, but a pretty obvious one, like a passing reference that everyone will notice, but then they just quickly move on, I think things moving forward will coalesce quickly with that big Vader Thanos level villain to please us all. What else? In that same realm, no spoilers here, but latest episode of House of the Dragon, which for me, each episode has gotten better and better. So it's been a fantastic season. There is a character. He's been compared to Littlefinger. And I'm going to leave it with that. But what happened on this week's episode, I think I can do it without being too spoilery. Can I? I'll just say this. No, I need to explain it or else, because if you don't watch, you don't get it. So he is with another character on the show, and they are together in her quarters, her bedroom, and she seems to relax, and she takes her shoes off and puts her feet up on the table. It looks like kind of awkward because there is very little chill out with any kind of like alcohol. Like even when they drink alcohol, it's an exercise, it's an activity. There's no just chilling, and maybe they're in a bathtub in the setting of House of the Dragon. So she puts her feet up like I would on my ottoman or my boss's desk on some type of table that's separating the two. And they get to talking, and then she takes her socks off. I'm like, okay. I mean, she's not interested in him in that way. Perhaps she's letting her guard down. And then the character says, well, if you want more, I'm going to, paraphrasing, if you want more, I'm going to have more. Oh, that's where this is going. Here's the spoiler part, kind of. It doesn't reveal any of the plot. He has a foot fetish. Of all the oh wow moments, especially when it comes to sexuality in this show over the many seasons and many episodes and many characters, some of whom didn't last very long, this one is right up there in like the top 3 or 5 of what did I just watch? I won't give away this part, but I'll leave it at that. He obviously has a foot fetish, and that allowed me to share with you. We don't get to choose, and most specifically when it comes to our sexuality, we really don't get to choose what we're interested in. It's just kind of human nature. It's born within us, right? Like we've had a lot of this discussion over the last handful of years as more people have needed to be educated and become less ignorant why someone is gay or straight or whatever their sexual interest or attraction may be. And you could tell within this character, you could see that he felt a bit of shame because someone's bare feet is what aroused him. We don't get to choose where our urges come from, what we're attracted to. We can choose, I don't know where I stole this line from, but we don't get to choose our wants, but we can choose from among our wants. Now, there's another precarious route I can go with this, but I'm going to leave that alone because I need Alex here to have that very adult conversation and pick me up from any missteps. So I'll just leave it at that. And not provide much more, but have you ruminate on that. We don't get to choose what we're attracted to. The rest of that could be a minefield. Happy 50th birthday to Eminem. If you see any pictures of him, he has kept his looks. He looks quite youthful. You would think for all that he's been through in his life, he would actually look 10 to 20 years older than he actually is. I think he did get clean and sober within the last recent years, though, and he's likely dyeing that brown beard of his, but good for him. Favorite songs of his? Not the big ones. The big ones, but not the timeless hits. Although I'd include Stan as timeless, but I like his darker stuff. I didn't like all the corny stuff. I respected it, but Stan, The Way I Am, I think from the first or second album, Cleaning Out My Closet, and then something straddling the line of dark but also humorous, Superman. Those are my favorite songs. And 8 Mile with the piano intro rather than starting with the beat. So happy 50th with Eminem. 2 more things, and actually like a reminder that we never really know people. And I'm sure this was troubling to people who got burned by Ellen. Remember, we found out that Ellen, maybe she wasn't directly responsible for it, but the backstage behind the scenes of how her show was being run was oppressive to some people, mean, bullying. And Ellen did not ride off into the sunset. She kind of got pushed to the side and was forced into retiring that show. James Corden went kind of crazy on somebody at a restaurant, I believe in New York City, Balthazar. And people were very upset and made the comparison, rightly so, to Ellen, wondering like, I believed everything. I believe your genuine nature, your kindness, and I've been let down again. As I've always reminded you, we know less than 1% of what these people do in their lives. We see what they let us see. And what they let us see is usually good stuff, unless you're Kanye West and you share your anti-Semitism with everybody. Somebody's got to get control of him because he is out of control. He once again needs help. James Corden did apologize, and the restaurant owner, as I would expect nothing less from, I guess, again, I think this is a New York City restaurant, as I would expect nothing less from a sarcastic, cynical, always having fun kind of East Coast restaurant guy saying, you can be unbanned if you let me host your show for 9 months. So he had some fun with it, and James Corden is allowed back. But just remember, we don't know. Similarly, a reminder that women can and may cheat as often as men do. I knew there was going to be more to this Olivia Wilde story. There was discussion and drama with Don't Worry Darling, which I guess shooting that movie is where she hooked up with Harry Styles. And if you read whatever article she did recently, telling her side of the story, how pissed she was that she got served court papers while she was on stage with cast members at a Comic-Con. She was pissed about that. She blamed Jason Sudeikis for doing that and intentionally doing it, and how it ruined the moment for other people. I don't know if he did that or not. He seems like a good guy, but again, we don't know. But what she has done to him, I could see him seething with a desire to seek vengeance. The latest is, so she definitely cheated on him while they were still together. She cheated on him with Harry Styles. And I could see Jason Sudeikis being hurt. A global superstar who was much younger than him. So she's going for a younger guy that probably made him feel a little old and inferior. One of the hottest people, literally and figuratively speaking, on the planet. And she just stepped away from him to go to Harry. There's a story that apparently she was trying to leave their place and he laid down in front of her car. Love and being scorned will have you do crazy, irrational things. And again, we don't know. But it seems she really, really hurt him. Another reminder, you do not have to cheat on anybody. I know it causes you some pain and anguish to break up with somebody, but if you don't, the pain and anguish that you will have to navigate from the consequences of either one, your conscience, or being caught will be a lot more than having to break up with somebody. And a reminder, breakups are not negotiations. They are employee separations. They are terminations. Because you have likely had mediations, one-on-ones leading up to that. Not officially, but you've tried to work through your problems. You've tried to share that this is not for me in a variety of ways. So they either understood or they didn't. If they didn't, the termination is going to hit them a lot harder, but you have to do it. So you can do this one of two ways. You can cheat and then break up or be caught and get punched in two ways and be a bad person in two ways. You're cheating and then you didn't break up at the right time. Or you can just separate, break up, and go about your way and sleep with whoever you want and just feel bad about having hurt somebody that maybe you didn't want to hurt, but it was just time. You don't have to cheat. You just have to break up. Let's dive into our first guest. We'll welcome back to the show. She's been on a couple of times before, Chelsea Palmer, because there's a big Halloween party coming up with the Downtown Perrysburg group. And it's back after, like many things, a couple of years away. It's indoors and well worth the $30. Let's talk to Chelsea now.
Hello, this is Chelsea.
Well, of course, it's your phone.
Well, you didn't come up with your name attached to it, so I just wanted to make sure.
Ah, okay. Well, I thought you might put the timing together. I said okay, and then you get a call from a number you don't know.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
I could ask you, like I could say, hey, it's time to vote. Make sure you get to the polls, or ask you if your car warranty is okay. What else? What other kind of dumb phone calls do people get these days?
It's typically the voting and the car warranty, and do you need new windows?
No, although you know what? The warranties are important now because everybody has a used car, and it's expensive to do upkeep. So take advantage of the warranty.
I'm covered on the warranty part of things.
Okay. What are we talking about? Is there another Halloween event in Perrysburg? Because I know the farmers market just wrapped up, and it was Halloween or costume themed.
Yes. So Christine just ended the farmers market, and they did their Halloween, like little trick or treat. Everyone dressed up. It was super cool. But yes, we are also doing the adult version party for Perrysburg.
To go backwards for a second, there's a lot of Perrysburg stuff on my radar. I heard the pickleball court ribbon cutting got moved to the spring, and the farmers market. This farmers market and like adjacent events were so popular for the last handful of months that the farmers market is going to get a bill for all like the extra police services and city services, like to clean up after everything. So maybe Perrysburg should be a little less successful.
Well, we also are getting bills too from the city for the policing. Everything increased. Zip the bird, we got quite a big bill that we weren't anticipating for. So we're all in that conversation right now.
It's Perrysburg. You can all afford it.
You know, the little guys, we're just making events happen with sponsorship money. But when you're not expecting, a $6,000 bill and you get one, it's just a little crazy when it wasn't put in your original budget or on your permit.
$6,000. Like, what were the police rolling up in? Like fighter jets and tanks?
No, we've had a conversation. We've had a great conversation actually, and everyone's been very open in explaining things, and we understand both sides of the things. We wish there was better communication with it.
Right.
So obviously the police, we want to make sure that their services are being paid for. And it's my understanding that there was some kind of like issue that happened somewhere in Ohio where an off-duty police officer was doing, basically contracting work, security at an event and was injured. And there was a liability situation where his benefits, technically because he wasn't on the clock, his benefits weren't covering his injury. So there was some kind of situation that way. So it's all for the safety of the police. We just don't know. There just needs to be some negotiation and some open conversations with how much this is actually costing and what's really needed and what's not needed. Because we had several officers just standing around,
right?
But because of the number of people that they had we had estimated to attend an event is it's basically an estimate. Like you need one officer per this many people. So it's just something I think we just all need to iron everything out and just kind of get on the same page and just kind of have a very open conversation about. And I think Christine's going to have a big bill with how everything's going with the farmers market. And it's just everything's being so successful that we just want to make sure everyone's safe and taken care of. So it's all for the benefit of the community. But
it's a good problem to have. And that these things are so successful and they're so well attended. I could see why you might question, like, why are we paying for officers to just maybe stand around? Because it's not exactly zombie crawl chaos at Perrysburg events.
No, we're not having anyone, escorted out. And, we have the occasional intoxicated person here or there, but it's nothing that can't easily be redirected without any kind of, like, extreme force by any means.
The only thing you have to really be in danger of is kids on sugar highs running away from their parents.
Exactly. It's a great problem, like you said, to have. So we're all just trying to iron everything out together.
So what's the upcoming adult event that you've got going on?
So we have a 21 and over event that we host annually, and it's our annual. It's Oktoberfest. It's like our Oktoberfest. So, but we have spiced it up this year, and we are actually hosting it indoors at the Schaller Building for the first time ever. So we don't have to, play with the elements of putting a tent outside and waiting for it to be rain or cold or whatever. So it's indoors, and we thought, what better way to, spice up our Halloween event this year than to mix in some Hocus Pocus.
That overrated movie that just got a sequel?
Oh, those are fighting words. You're playing with my childhood.
I've never seen it. I have no issues with Bette Midler. I just saw people starting to push back and question whether the movie was actually good. And I think it's become a nice little discussion.
It is a very good discussion. And I actually had this discussion with quite a few of my friends, which is funny because we all love the first original Hocus Pocus, and we remember watching it as kids at sleepovers and everything growing up. And then, so we were just a little anxious to see the second one and how are they really going to recreate this and make this a good sequel? I personally think the storyline is great for Hocus Pocus 2, and I think it's very cute. I just don't think the casting was done properly, but I think it's a cute movie for 2022 Hocus Pocus style.
I give everybody a little bit of latitude and grace because this was like a COVID idea. Like when Hocus Pocus had its renaissance in 18 and 19, and then the world shut down, Disney needed content. They're like, let's do a sequel. They got everybody signed up, and I mean it. Think of all the stuff that we have to watch now, and you get all excited for it. Great idea, but it wasn't executed that well because it was shot during COVID stuff.
Yeah, actually, though, when we do talk about sequels and COVID stuff, the new Top Gun I think is amazing, and I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but Top Gun 2 I think is just as good as Top Gun 1.
Everyone loved it.
It's great. Tom Cruise did age a bit, but I mean, he aged well, and I think it was awesome, and I loved it, and I've watched it several times, and I couldn't wait for it to come on Apple TV so you could watch it all the time.
I think that was finished though before the summer of COVID though. I think it was done in
really?
in 19. But you're right, it was a phenomenal movie. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that didn't have people with superpowers that it was that thrilling. But I mean, they made a great movie.
Yeah, I'm not a Marvel fan or a superhero fan like you, but I mean, I've watched a lot of things, but this one was definitely a thriller for me, and I love Top Gun 2. So, but Hocus Pocus 2 is fine. It just isn't my favorite. It's not going to replace the first for me.
Maybe you should have done a Top Gun themed Halloween Perrysburg party.
Well, I'm assuming with the costume contest, we will probably have some Top Gun people showing up in their little get ups there for what Tom Cruise is Goose and Maverick. So I'm sure they'll be coming out.
Easy costume. Put on an airman suit and some aviators, and you're good to go.
Oh yeah, easy.
So tell me about some of the things that are going to happen during the event, which again is nicely indoors.
Yes, nicely indoors this year. So we have live music by Pop's Garage. We are going to have like spooky beer and cocktails that are themed for the event from Heidelberg. And then Inside the Five, I think, is also going to be providing some craft beer. And then we're going to have some small bites, so like a grazing station that's going to be like Halloween themed from Cork and Knife Provision.
Excellent.
So we're going to have all that. Perrysburg themed people, just enjoying a lot of the locals and just helping promote Perrysburg and just have a good party that helps everything out. We have a cool thing that we're going to be doing. It's called the Wheel of Tricks or Treats. So it's a wheel that you're going to be able to spin. I think tickets are $1. You can win local gift cards to like Stella's or Swig or Inside the Five. And then Perrysburg CVB is actually putting together this $500 value of a Perrysburg experience. So that's going to be like this grand prize that you can win to just, you don't even have to, it's just bringing someone who's maybe not familiar with what Perrysburg has to offer. And you get a weekend stay in Perrysburg to explore all the things, Fort Meg and like all of these things. So Christine at CVB is putting something together for us to kind of give and display and like for people to win on this Wheel of Tricks and Treats.
That sounds like a great idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so just kind of keeping it like we're all so excited because everyone's kind of like fresh and new with the chamber. We have Tim Anstead and then we have Christine Best with the CVB, and then our crew. We're just all joining together and just kind of building off like Fall Fest. We joined with the Perrysburg schools, and it was just so fun, like seeing Homecoming and DPI and everyone just kind of like just finally collaborating together and just showing everyone how great Perrysburg is downtown and just everywhere in Perrysburg, not just the historic district. And
there wasn't any kind of like chaos with the expansion of Dora either. So shocking, right?
Right. Shocking. No, there definitely wasn't. And I just think Dora's just, it was really scary in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. Like, a lot of people are used to the very quiet, historic, mosey around these beautiful streets of Perrysburg. And then you talk about bringing these open containers of alcohol walking up and down the street. So I definitely understand how some of the older, more reserved generation was nervous and not all for Dora. But I think they see now that it's definitely bringing more people downtown to explore their beautiful city. So it needed to be expanded, and I think it's a great idea, and we enjoy it too. So, are you saying you're not part of the older, more conservative generation? I'm a 35-year-old young basic girl. So, I appreciate the older generation and I respect them, but I'm all about the new age and combining both historic and the modern world together. I like it. I like it. When the old and the new work together, we get the best. Yes, we sure do. Awesome. What's the date for this again? And there is a cost, right? Correct. Yep. It's going to be Saturday, October 29th. We're quoting it, the Black Flame Candle is being lit at 7:30. And so it's 7:30 to 11, adults only. You can purchase tickets on our Facebook page. There's so many links floating around. There's a QR code that we've been posting. You can go to Ticket Leap. It's $30 to get in. And then you also can enter into the costume contest, and there's 4 different categories for that. So we have Best Dressed Female, Best Dressed Male, Best Dressed Duo or Couple, and then Best Dressed Group, which is a limit of 5 people. So, and there's everything, all kinds of prizes for all that stuff too. And I'm guessing, since it is what it is, the best will not be a synonym for sluttiest, right? No. I was so impressed. Like in 2019, when we did the big one, we had so many creative couples and so many creative female males in groups. Like, I just love how people just really go all out for this. Like, I'm actually participating in a group this year. And so I'm pretty excited about that. And, and I think Trish, our past president, she's also on the board, and her husband are finally doing their first couple, duo costumes that they ever done as being a couple. And so she's super excited that Rich has finally asked her. So everyone's going all out and getting excited for the costume. What can you tell me or give me a little hint of what your group is doing? My group is actually from a TV show in the 90s. Do you want to tell? Can I have another hint? So I guess it was I think it was late, probably mid '90s. It was home improvement, so we're going to be tool time.
Are you going to be the girl, which was speaking of slutty, like she didn't wear a lot of clothing?
I'm going to be Lisa, and then my boyfriend's sister is actually going to be the other. Oh, I can't even think of her. Heidi. She's going to be Heidi.
Okay.
But Lisa was the original blonde, actually played by Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
And honestly, anything Pamela Anderson wears, she looks very, slutty, I guess. But I will be more reserved, Pamela Anderson, a.k.a. Lisa.
Is anybody going to be, was the neighbor Wilson where you can only see his eyes?
That's been talked about, but I think we're going to have just Tim and Al. And then if someone wants to join as our fifth, they can definitely be Mr. Wilson next door. I think that's what his name was.
Well, thanks for the time. Sounds like a great party. The trick or treat wheel sounds like a really good time. So good luck with everything.
Well, thank you so much.
That's Chelsea from Downtown Perrysburg and their great party. Next up, we have a drug take-back day coming up next Saturday, October 29th. We'll talk to Connie White now about what you can do with these medications and why it's so important to properly dispense of them. Let me welcome in Connie White now, the Executive Director, part of the Sylvania Prevention Alliance. We've got another drug take-back day coming up. Hi, Connie. Thanks for joining.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We have these several times a year. People probably see billboards, hear people talking about them. Why are they so important that we don't leave these drugs just sitting in our cabinets or elsewhere?
Well, we just want to make sure that we give people the opportunity to get rid of any of their expired or unused medications. This is important because, for one, we don't want to dispose of them improperly. Flushing them down the toilet doesn't help our water systems. We also don't want to leave those around for young children, other people that they don't belong to find. We also don't want them thrown in the trash because if a pet gets in a trash or a young child, we just want to make sure that they get disposed of safely.
There's literally no good to keeping old or expired medications because you checked off all the boxes there of what could go wrong. And if I could even throw in, you don't want to tempt yourself taking a medication that's outdated for something that could go wrong. There's a reason there was an expiration date on it, especially when it's like several years in the past. Toss it, do drug take back, right?
You got it. Yes, we want you all to be safe. We want everyone to not, use anything that could be harmful to them.
A lot of locations. I know people might be familiar with Kroger, but beyond the Kroger, if there's any specific Kroger locations, where else can people clean out their cabinets of this stuff?
Well, these locations are available to anyone all over Lucas County. So anywhere from Maumee to Swanton, Springfield, even Ottawa Hills, and the University of Toledo Medical Center also has a location on their health science campus.
It's October 29th, 10 to 2 p.m. Is no not that I can imagine what questions would be asked, but no questions will be asked regardless of what you bring by, right?
Oh, absolutely not. So you will just walk up. It doesn't matter if you have the pills in a Ziploc baggie or if they're still in the pill containers. You'll just hand them over. No one will ask any questions. They will seal them up in a box, and they will be disposed of properly by the police. And no questions will be asked, and everything will be safe.
Excellent. So many locations. Where can people get that full list? Is there a Facebook page, a website, or something else?
Yeah, you can go to our Facebook page, Sylvania Prevention Alliance, or you can check out our website, sylvaniaprevention.org, and that'll have a list of all the locations. And we're able to do 17 different locations this year with the support from the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lucas County and our local law enforcement and community partners like Kroger. So this is a great event for everyone.
Awesome. Not to hammer the point home, actually, the one word that we didn't use that we're not, I don't want to say we're sick of, because we have to keep using it so we can take advantage of things like these to get the message across. Overdoses. The reason we want to keep these things out of the way in the hands of the people that you mentioned, so there are no more overdose deaths, which continue to go up. It was the epidemic before the pandemic, and that's why a take-back day like this is so important.
Yes, we want a safe community. That's what we're trying to promote. We want Lucas County to be a very safe place to live, to not have these negative addiction issues. And so we want to provide support in that way and education for people so that they will not be tempted by overdosing or trying prescription drugs that weren't prescribed to them.
Yeah.
So this is an important way to get that temptation out of the way.
One last thing, that will be a bit of a busy weekend. It's Halloween weekend. If for some reason somebody cannot get out, as we talked about, there are multiple take-back days per year. Do you have any idea offhand when the next one might be?
It will be in April.
Okay.
And also, there are some police stations around town that have permanent drug take-back boxes. So if you reach out, I know there is one in Sylvania, reach out to them, and you can bring those by at any time and put those in a permanent drug take-back box, and they will dispose of those properly at that time.
Great to know. That was going to be my last question. What do I do if I can't? I don't want to like stock these things up. I want to get rid of them now because we're talking about all these dangers here. That doesn't do me any good in December if I have to wait till April. So certain police locations.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just a great way, even supporting our sometimes people have an elder population that they're working with, and their medications just change too.
Yep.
So we just want to provide that opportunity for people.
Connie White, Executive Director, Sylvania Prevention Alliance, sylvaniaprevention.org. Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Good luck with everything. Thanks for hopping on for a couple of minutes, okay?
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.